Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Roadmap to Freedom. We are at the third session of the first chapter of the project. Volitional science has been innovated and developed by a professor of physics and mathematics, Andrew J. Galambos. Prior to founding the Institute in 1961, Galambos taught physics, mathematics, astronomy to half a dozen different colleges, universities here in the United States. And so in volitional science, Galambos demonstrates for the first time in our history how to successfully solve social problems by using a tool called the scientific method, well known to people familiar with the physical sciences. And this brings us to another common question that will be asked by people hearing about the roadmap to freedom. If the ideas of this volitional science are so important, as you seem to claim, then if they're that significant, why aren't they making headlines? Why haven't I heard about this? Now, there is a very simple answer to this question, and I will prove this answer to you. Important ideas, significant ideas do not make headlines. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a fact of history. The more important the idea, the more significant the idea, the more profound the scientific discovery, the less likely it will ever make a headline. Let's go to the proof of this assertion. The scientific discoveries of Isaac Newton, one man that made possible the subsequent discovery of more knowledge, more useful inventions, innovations, more useful technologies than any man who ever lived anywhere at any time. You do not need to believe my words. Just check by yourself what happened as a result of his magnificent discoveries. But did those absolutely beautiful discoveries made one headline? Have you ever seen the name of Newton in headline anywhere? And did Newton ever make any headlines when he was living? None. Can we then conclude that what he did was insignificant and unimportant? It's been over 3 centuries since Newton disclosed his major theories. Neither Newton nor have his magnificent giant discoveries ever made one headline anywhere at any time. The question is, why? It is important to know why. Now think, what is the principal purpose of a newspaper headline or television, radio? I'm sure you know, if you think about it, to sell newspapers. In order to sell a lot of newspapers, you must cater to the general public. You get the attention of most people through what it's called sensationalism. Look at the average headline. A flood kills 500. An air crash kills 300. Bank manager kidnapped. Movie star found dead from overdose. Not only does the important ideas not make a headline, but the more important the idea, the more the idea will benefit the individual, the more it will enrich his life, the less likely he will ever heard of the innovator, and even less likely he will understand the innovator's innovation. Let me show you a couple of historical figures and see if you would recognize him or her. My guess all of you know the guy. This is infamous Alois Schicklgruber, aka Adolf Hitler. Started World War II, killed 40 to 50 million people. He was in the news half of his life. And this is Joseph Bessarionis Djugashvili, aka Joseph Stalin, who killed between 80 to 100 million people. He was in the news since he turns 30. At that time, he was trained and bank robber, and to the end of his miserable life. And who is this? I am almost sure that 99% of you have no idea, even if I will mention his name. What he did was one of the greatest achievements in the history of man. Most of you in the room will not understand what he did, and most of you have never heard of the innovator. Why? Because important ideas do not make headlines. His name is James Clerk Maxwell, and this is his achievement. Those are among the most important ideas ever conceived by the human mind, called Maxwell equations. They do not get attention of very many people. The more important the idea, the less it will be known. And of course, even beyond that, can you see? Let's look on one of those equations again. Can you see those equations in a headline? How many newspapers will it sell? And so, one of the points I'm making, ladies and gentlemen, a major point is Maxwell's equations have never made headlines, but they have nevertheless changed the world in a large, significant, and fundamental way. There are no electronic or electrical innovations that are not based on Maxwell and his theories. And in a like manner, ladies and gentlemen, the theories of Professor Galambos have never made headlines. They probably will never make headlines, but like Maxwell equations, they too will change the world in a large, significant, and fundamental way. But I have some outstandingly good news for you, and that is, it is not necessary to obtain mass comprehension of a theory in order to broadly apply it. Maxwell's equations have been applied all over the world with only a handful of people understanding his theory. Most electronic engineers do not understand Maxwell's equations. Most electrical engineers do not understand Maxwell's equations, and yet have applied this concept of television and radio and radar all over the world. Does the public understand those equations? No. Do we have widespread ignorance on the subject? Yes. Does it present a problem? No. That's good news. Most have never heard about Maxwell or Galambos, but their inventions bring and will bring much joy to all of us, including those who understand and those who do not. And I have more good news, as a matter of fact. Ideas created by a lonely individual can take the world by storm. I will demonstrate in later sessions that every major solution to every major problem was first innovated by a lone individual, who in turn communicated his innovations to a handful of interested people, who then implemented the solution for everyone's benefit. If to implement any major solution to any major problem, it would first require an understanding of how the problem was solved of the part of the general public. Do you know what that would mean? It would mean that you cannot solve any problem or implement any major solution to any problem ever. you cannot get any significant ideas across to the public ever because, as I already said, the more important the idea is, the fewer will be the number of people who understand it. I will stop here. Masses do not need to understand the solution. They do not understand how television works but use it. They do not understand how modern medicine works but widely use it. Same with ideas by Galambas. They will not understand but will enjoy them. However, I have a bit of bad news. Next time, we will talk about our technology for solving problems. Something is wrong, don't you think? We are solving problems, but they keep piling up and becoming even worse. I would like to ask you to think about, and write in comments, how to solve the problem of world hunger. I assure you, it is possible, but I want to hear your ideas. Until next